If I played a show for a very small audience, could I get them to go volunteer?
Hi, this is Dina Harris.
And I'm Mark Raven.
Welcome to the tie-in. Hi, Pete Kronowitt. Welcome to the tie-in.
Well, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we are excited to have you. And just for some context for our listeners, you're in the music world, and you are a self-described activist. And
I am.
yeah, focused on campaigns and music declares emergency in the U.S. and probably a lot of other things. Is this your day job? Is this what you do all the time?
I guess you can call it that. I call myself
Very good job.
my night, day, weekend, an activist with a music problem is what I call myself.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so what led you to this work?
The circuitous path, I mean, it started with music, of course. Listening to a little transistor radio that was attached to my head, listening to top 40 and singing along. And then college, I pick up a guitar. It was actually the guy across the hall had a guitar. Picked up his guitar. He became my roommate. And then when he moved out, he left the guitar. I'm still playing that guitar many, many years later. Still has the scar on the back of the guitar where the dorm bed fell on it. And I've been writing and recording and touring and never did that as a career. So I don't know, but I take it pretty seriously. And maybe we'll end the show with one of my songs that I've just released. And then my parents got involved in raising money for diabetes and starting a foundation. And that was my on-ramp to, looking at things in a broader way. And they actually created the first chapter of the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation that became the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And that was, I saw the good, the bad, the struggles, but that you can make a difference with a small group of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more to that story. We're off there.
How much time do we have?
Right, yeah. Got an hour, right? I don't know.
So how does that shift your passion for music and your, seeing your parents to sort of take up these sort of causes? How does that shift into taking action for climate? Or, because that's clearly not a linear path. Not every musician wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I'm going to dedicate my career to this."
Yeah. I always was, I started off writing songs about broken hearts and other kinds of relationship type of things and family and stuff like that. But there was always this more topical kind of nature to what I was caring about, enough to write songs. And fast forward to the 2016 election, and I just felt compelled to get engaged. My wife and I both decided that we were going to join an organization focused on state legislative races, because that was just, our way that we can contribute and also felt like we had an impact. At the state level, those races are smaller, the budgets are smaller, and we got involved with an organization that was then called Sister District Project, and now they changed their name recently to States Win. And I started this whole series of shows where I would pick a candidate in a competitive district, and I just, more of an experiment to see if I played a show for a very small audience, could I get them to go volunteer and do the very difficult work of knocking on doors. And it worked. First of all, it was a lot of fun. I mean, like, you're playing for a passionate, interested audience, right? But then you say, raise your hand if you want to actually help the campaign. And I got 36% of my audience in my small 10-show tour in Virginia to go say, I want to go knock on doors for these candidates. And that number, 36%, just kind of put that in a little bucket and think about that. That's a huge, huge number. So, little old me with no following got 106 people in 2019 to go knock on doors in the state of Virginia. And yeah, so that's actually, I think that was the thing that really, put the first peg in the ground for me to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw what happened after, the party that I was supporting ended up controlling the state legislature, and all these laws passed for all these things that I care about. And, you know, I'm like a normal person. I care about more than one thing, you know? I want people to have a living wage, and like they're not radical things, right? You know,
Right.
But climate ends up we cannot live in a world that's going to be continually disrupted by catastrophes, where all the things that they talk about climate are going to cause havoc, and getting in front of that seemed like a good priority. And so I got on a path to get involved with an organization that I think has just a great presence in the world, and that's really what led me to climate.
Yeah, and now you're deep in it.
Neck deep and the water's rising. Yeah.
Because you're doing a lot related to, campaigning, outreach, grassroots. I mean, that's what I'm hearing is like you really, tapped into, the people and motivated them to get out and do stuff. So that's a pretty cool thing. That's in my world, like success.
Cool is the operative word.
Right? Don't you have to campaign on that?
Funny that you mentioned. So that's how that was like the first thing that really I sunk my teeth into. I heard about this organization called Music Declares Emergency. It started in the UK back in 2019.
Yeah.
And they came up with a pretty good slogan: "No music on a dead planet." And I was pretty compelled by it, but so were artists all around the world. More than 4,000 artists end up signing the declaration. So I asked the person on this panel that was talking about Music Declares Emergency, hey, how can I get involved? And they said, well, there's a working group in the United States, and this was, I think it was 2020. That's when it was. And I started exploring that, and then this small group of people, one of the folks, we ended up forming a nonprofit, a 501c3 for the U.S. chapter. He asked me to go meet with this organization called the Climate Music Project, and we sat out at a cafe in San Francisco and bantered, what could we do together? So we decided to do a songwriting workshop. And the thing that the Climate Music Project does, which is really also cool, is they have climate scientists, and the climate scientists try and give a sense of reality of what's happening. And so we brought these award-winning songwriters, some friends of mine, to meet with climate scientists, and then they wrote this. I actually wrote a couple songs, but I co-wrote one song with a great artist. But the song that really kind of rose to the top was the song "Back to the Word." I Want to Be Cool, and yeah, that led us down this crazy winding path.
Wait, maybe we should listen to that song right now. Can we pop in and just listen to part of it?
Yeah, sure.
I think we should do it.
Okay, well, let's just do it.
Just to get a flavor for
what you're talking about. And then I want to hear more about that, the campaign around it.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll just say that we'll definitely go to the chorus of the song.
Yeah.
And what you'll see is that, there's these award-winning songwriters that sing in the verses, but we recruited kids from all over the world to sing on the chorus. And that was pretty much the campaign, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I want to be cool, it isn't a joke. To walk in the woods, without all the smoke. I love to swim, but not in a flood. We can't grow a crop, down in the mud. I want to be cool and get the job done, so we don't get left out to bake in the sun. Let's plant some trees and make some shade. From the ground up, that's how change is made. I wanna be cool, how about you? Together there's not one single thing that we couldn't do. Take care of the earth and each other too. Working together, we all can be cool.
That's a good feel for it.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it. I mean, it is like catchy, cool. Like, I mean, seriously, yeah. And then
It's intergenerational too, right?
Yeah.
I can see it being like, it's not, I can see like a 6-year-old being like, yeah, it's great. But, an older.
I still, after all this time, now it's like 3 years or so, I still get emotional when I see this video because it brings back all of the work that we did. Anyway, yeah, it's amazing. It's the two guys who wrote the song, Brant Miller and Will Kimbrough, they're sitting in this Zoom session just like this, and Will says, "I think I got an idea for a song," and he just starts playing this little riff, and then Brant and Will went to go work on it, and then Will then recorded it, and so both Will and Brant live in Nashville, and they're amazing songwriters, and like to come up with a song that addresses the truth of what we're experiencing, but still make it uplifting and positive, and then the chorus is really catchy, but that one line, that says that when we work together, we can accomplish anything, and
Yeah.
everything about that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so it really inspired us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And yeah, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Well, but this song though is in this campaign, this is tied into Music Declares Emergency.
It is, yes.
And then the goal here though is you're trying to attract other musicians to join forces to continue to spread this message.
Absolutely.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So this is tied into like a bigger idea of the kind of the core idea that at least that we're operating from is that art, whatever the art is, it opens a door, a window. It gives you an emotional connection. It's probably like a first step to go building community, but there's a gap. And that gap is, like the climate crisis is a very complex thing. So what can people actually do to make a difference? And that's kind of like the bridge between the artist and the activist. And when you're giving people suggestions on what they should do, and you make those suggestions easy for them, to get engaged, then you have an opportunity to make a real difference. And that's the lesson that you learn from other social movements, that you're guiding people to take an action, but you do it over a sustained period of time. And so that is the thing that connects what we're doing with this song and what we're doing overall with Music Declares Emergency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just love that the song is cool, the song is fun, it's catchy, you've got, and that there's like, it's layered, right? Because you're singing about, even if you, whatever, like a tune gets in your head and you're singing about things, that's subconscious, like, getting into, like, oh, thinking deeper without even realizing. And then, who knows who's hearing you sing? Like, look, I'm a mom and I sing in my kitchen all the time. And, stuff like this is going to make it through in my household. So,
The earworm for me was always together. There's not one single thing that we couldn't do. Like that to me, I don't know. Like it's always there. And
Yeah.
and the idea of a repetitive chorus is it works.
Yeah.
There's there's this old saying from the labor movement in the early 1900s that you can, read a pamphlet once and throw it away. But a song and the repetitive nature of it means that you're internalizing the message. And it's worked with me.
Totally. So what's the bridge then? Or what's so this is part of the Music Declares Emergency effort, but what's going on, with Music Declares Emergency? Like what's the overarching um message or action, and then how does this fit in?
So let's start with the Be Cool campaign specifically. So
Okay.
what we did as a result of this is after we got parents to sign uh, their form letting their kids sing on, because we got 2,500 kids around the world to sing on the chorus. And what we had this clever little tactic where in the authorization form, we were recommending very specific actions for them to do around, climate education, how they could personally reduce their emissions, and, what kind of civic engagement they might have. And with those suggestions, we had partner organizations that supported each one of those areas. So that's kind of spirit of it, that, you have partner organizations that actually can deliver on a pathway to making a difference. And so with that, now at the end of the initial part of like making the video and then making it sure it gets displayed at different places, we then installed solar system in a small school in rural Nigeria. And we did that by doing fundraising at a school, and at a school here in the US. So we basically are building a whole program around the matching up a school that has resources to one that doesn't. And again, like we saw these videos of all these kids with the joy and the dancing, and then you look and you realize that their school is made of cinder blocks and it's dirt floors and they have no electricity. And and like when you kind of like process all of that, so now we partnered with a third organization that specializes in deploying solar systems, and now we're building a whole program around that. So that's the Be Cool campaign. We're calling that Be Cool Connections. If there's a school, if anybody's watching this and they know of a school that wants to get, build a relationship with a school and somewhere else around the world, that's what we do. And we're doing that with the guys of the song and the campaign, and that's going to be a heartening thing. So that's that piece of it. But then on the bigger, the work that we're doing within Music Declares Emergency specifically. So I mentioned more than 4,000 artists have signed our declaration. More than that, there's a whole bunch of music industry people who have also signed the declaration, and we have relationships with folks because there's 16 chapters around the world where you have Music Declares Emergency and local people, and they're all country specific chapters. So we're building a program, a really simple idea where, those artists that want to, do something, we make it really easy for the artists to engage their fans. And the way that we do that is we just point to organizations all around the planet that have effective programs. So during, an artist show or on social media, we give them a QR code, and the QR code points to those organizations. That's it. I mean, really, like, that's the core idea of the program. But we know that this works because there's artists who have been doing this, and we could build a massive movement. And more importantly than just the numbers, they're doing things that are actually going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And to me, that's something that, other social movements have done effectively. And the climate movement has fits and starts with it. Sometimes there's stuff that are really productive, but they're done by one group. But we're building partnerships with lots of organizations that we are looking at, are they effective? And that's what we're doing.
And I think one of the challenges with these movements is they tend to be uncoordinated, as you just alluded to, without key messaging and not, so that's something, I met with David Fenton a couple of years ago as well, and he was very, very clear with that as well. Like there's just such yeah, and everybody's kind of working in their own little silos, and no one's really pulling it all together. And then once you get, if you got one group that then managed to get some sort of a bigger star, then all of a sudden that's the way it's going. Yeah, how are you navigating that? And then also, are you attracting or looking for bigger names to take the message and run with it? Or is this more of a decentralized, like you were saying, like where if you've got 4,000 artists out there, all in their respective jurisdiction, that's powerful. It's also powerful to get, major labels and major artists on board and coordinating that. Yeah, maybe just talk us through navigating this, because it's complex, right? There's a lot of different groups vying for airtime and almost like at each other's throats half the time trying to get competing.
It really, I mean, I hate to say that, but it really is like that. It really, there's a lot of, there's the desire for cooperation, but you have to figure out what that angle is so it makes sense. So our approach is, again, it's kind of taking common interest and making sure that we're aligned. So let's start. I think the most important thing is to start out. So how does like an average person make a difference in this mix? And then we'll get to, what we need to do to make it more successful at, when we get to the end of this. So as I said, the climate crisis is very complex and people need guidance on where to make a difference. Well, if you look at, the sources of different kinds of energy and the industry that uses all the fossil fuels, and then the new kinds of technologies that are being created, there's a myriad of things, right? Us making our own personal life choices, although they're important, although they're good, those things are not going to make the difference. And we should encourage people to do those things, but the time and resources should be spent focused on where they're going to make an impact. And that's going to be broad-based policy and legislation. And here in the United States, we're very pragmatic. We think that we can make a difference right now at the state level. And we have a great partner that does that, climate change makers. And this is just one example of one partner in one country, but then I'll talk about how we're getting to the bigger picture. What they do is you join them for an hour, and that they say it's the most productive hour you'll have all week, because they point you in the right direction based on where you live. You talk to your own elected officials, or you call them, you email them, you contact the local media, and they give you the tools to go do all that. Amazing, So the thing is that normal Joes and Josephines and whatever you call yourself are not doing that. You build a big group of people and inundate these elected officials and policymakers, and they're going to listen. And that is just a tactic that we use at this moment to make a difference. Okay, so now we have a principle in terms of how we're doing this kind of thing. We're not draining the resources for these organizations. The way that we're looking for them is that we're looking for organizations that just need volunteers. So the artist gets up and maybe they want to talk about their new song about climate change or the environment, trees, or whatever it might be. And sustainability, there's water, there's so many ways to talk about what's going on. And at that moment, there's a connection that's made. You're talking about how people's lives are affected personally. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, then all that you need to do is say, here's the group that you can make a difference with. Mm-hmm. And they could do that with a QR code, mm-hmm. right? And so they could put it on the screen behind them. They could put it on their merch table. If it's a small enough event, like the stuff I did, you can hand out clipboards, get people to sign up. And we know that this works because there's a band called AJR that did it. And, where I got 36%, they got 13.5%. And you work those numbers and you got 100 artists, maybe at the stadium level,
Uh-huh. Oh, totally. That's what I find really interesting about this is because Mark and I were at a concert at the end of 2025, and there was exactly this. There was a QR code that went on the screen, and other actions were talked about, like this concert does this, this, and
Not
this.
just a concert.
Well, you can say it.
It's Coldplay. We wait.
It's Coldplay, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Coldplay does a great.
in the summer of 2025.
Was it summer? Yeah, it was late summer. You're right. Okay, so there was like
Not a small band.
Not a small band, and they're willing to do it.
They did it.
They did it.
and
They were doing it. Yeah.
they're doing it, and then the QR code goes on the screen. There's a little commentary about like we support the kinds of things, and you can too. And everybody is in this feel good moment and taking out their phones and snapping that and doing something because like the whole environment was like positive and there's sustainability going on in various ways, and like you just want to be part of that. And I'm looking around like, oh my gosh, like because there's so many people that have the power then to take an action. And I don't know, like it was a pretty special
But
moment.
just to add to that before you jump in there, Pete, it's like there was an integrity and a continuity to every aspect of the production. For 50,000 people and a continuous multi-hundred, whatever tour globally, like that's huge. I mean, it was we were behind the scenes. We got to go behind the scenes to our friends at Show Power with batteries, the Coldplay production, and went behind and we just all around, like literally it was impressive. Now that's one huge band, but their reach is incredible. The question though is why aren't more bands doing this? Why aren't more big stars literally saying, this is important. We are going to do this. What's the holdup?
Well, I think every band will have a variety of different reasons. It's not one reason, but the fact that you have an exemplar of Coldplay doing it for 50,000 people at each show, right? And the number of fans they're directing to take actions just with that one band is phenomenal. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people over the course of a total tour.
Yeah.
That they say, at least they say, I want to go do something, and then they give them the thing to go do.
Yeah.
And so the artists, some of them, because of the sensitivities of the culture that we're in, the moment, they don't want to be seen as controversial.
Yeah.
And so you need to make it really easy and accessible for them. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. We're creating a series of videos. Some of them, just like you said, they're tapping into that authenticity that the band has. So the band could put their own content in these videos, or they could use something just that we create. And the same for festivals and venues. So we're going to make those available. And then once you make it exceptionally easy for the artist, that it's not, because being an artist, trust me, I will tell you, it is not easy. I mean, you're managing your own business, and the business is so multifaceted, and it's and such level of sensitivity to communicating your story, your persona, the thing that connects you to those fans in such a great way. And so we're giving them the tools to go do that. So I think that this is going to be something that's going to develop over time. But back to your original thing, yes, we want more artists to go sign up to go do this. We have put all the pieces in place to make this happen now. And that's what's really cool. We're at a really interesting moment where all the pieces are there, and we just haven't gone public about it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
Why not?
We've gone public in the US, but even then we were just putting the pieces in place to go do a lot of this. I'll give you one example. So now we have a way for a QR code, regardless of where the band is touring, it will point to the right partners.
Oh.
Yeah. So and it's, I mean, from a technical standpoint, it uses a router in the cloud, and then based on where the fan scans the code, it'll point to the right place. So that means we could get real feedback on how that artist is engaging with their fans and tell the artist what's going on. So that's really exciting. And then the other piece is putting the network in place, and we're still in the process of doing that. We've identified organizations all over the globe, and we're pretty close. So far, we have 3 countries and 5 partners, but we have a line of sight to another 29. And we will put those partnerships in place, so wherever an artist is touring, they can point to organizations that will have a real impact.
Mm-hmm. That's a great feedback loop for the artist too, right? Like, different shows, you can really start to see the numbers, what people are, supporting, how many people, all of that. Um, that's so cool, and cool that you're building out that network. So, um, just
One
work
one more
full
one more thought
time.
here, just yeah, one more thought on this is that, but we also know that the bulk of the emissions and so on come from transportation, right, in and out of these
Yeah.
stadiums or festivals and so on. So yeah, it's not just such a multifaceted approach, right? That require, like, I mean, we're seeing now with stadiums, right? They're like the ones that are really far out have either failed or are being rerouted to downtowns and downtown core with public transit. Yeah, I don't know. It's just you're right. It is these are complex issues.
It's every conversation I have with an artist is, like, because an artist needs to tour in order to be successful. That is really their primary source of income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're very aware and sensitive to the fact that they're emitting carbon when they do this, and that they're asking fans to come to them, and that's also a source of emitting carbon. But that if you're making first of all, there are things that bands can do to reduce their overall carbon footprint. And those things, again, it's kind of like taking personal responsibility. Yes, we should do those things. But really where we're going to make the difference is by making change by engaging the fans on the things that they can make a difference on.
Mm-hmm.
And the overall, like, there's a number of studies that show what the contribution for streaming and touring and everything that the music industry does. If the music industry stopped all carbon emissions, we would only stop about 0.4% of carbon emissions. So yes, it's important for the artist to be authentic and to be aware, but the way that we're going to make a difference, and as Billy Bragg so eloquently says, songs and bands and music don't change the world. The audience does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
And that's this effort is called Amplify, right?
That's correct. It's called Amplify. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, just so folks, if you come across it, that's what we're talking about here. So get involved.
Not turn it down.
Not turn it down.
No, turn it up.
Make it loud, and we are very close to making announcements around this. I don't know when we're going to air this, but when we air this, we're very transparent about our program and what we're doing. We want people to get involved. We need volunteers. We need artists to get involved at every level. Any level of artist can make a difference. Just like like I did with my own tour. We're giving you a QR code so you can go figure out where to place that QR code on stage or in social media, at your merch table, anywhere you think it's appropriate. And then it'll point to the organizations where your fans can make a difference.
Interesting. And you're saying any level, and you'll give them the QR code?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, we built this whole program, for all 4,000 artists, plus the ones that haven't signed the declaration, and Taylor Swift, if you're listening to this, give me a call. I mean, I've been trying to, get a hold of you for a while, and right now, I haven't gotten a call, and I'm a little disappointed.
I'm sure she's listening.
She is. I mean, I think she's stalking me without like being a parent. That's what I thought.
Probably have some
Well, I'd like a call
roots
too.
to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's usually the
But we are talking to really big artists as well, and their teams, and trying to find the right fit. We have a lot of artists who are piloting this right now. In the U.S., we have now a French band who's piloting it, and we're starting to reach out to a bigger set of, because we're putting the partner network in place, and that makes this real. So we're really close.
There's also a movement, as you're aware, with very large scale batteries and clean energy generators as well. That's starting to show the path as well, because that's a big one. And then the artist can then truly proclaim, okay, we're powering this with solar energy, or we're powering this. So yeah, we are seeing that, and I know our friends at Solar Punks and / Energy Club. I don't know if you know them or seen what they're doing, but it's like large megawatt hour sized batteries with large solar arrays to power the biggest concert venues in the world. So it's there's so many pieces.
There are a lot.
They're all working in
of
different
people
spots.
out there working on this in various ways. Yeah. So, very
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. Let us know how people can get a hold of you.
If you could spell my name, you can find me. You can.
And then music declares emergency. Look that up.
Music declares emergency. Again, you'll be able to find the website. There's lots of each of the country websites has lots of suggestions for fans and also the music industry and artists. And then the Amplify program, we have a page on our US chapter, but we will be announcing that later this year. And for all artists all over the world, wherever they are, they can make a difference.
Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Social media is by Sharon Ewan. Our editor and producer is Rachel Werbel.